We did it. Welcome everyone to this week's Arcadia Roundtable, where we're going to talk about lots of stuff. Loads of too much noise. Loads of us have been playing Hellblade, so we're going to talk about that. We've got some other topics to get through as well. But before we do, Chris, how's your week been?
Good, thank you. Busy. Been waiting for Ghost of Tsushima, or however you say it. I'm tired. And Hellblade 2, but obviously installed Ghost. Haven't ran it and played a load of Hellblade 2 this afternoon, and it was glorious.
Glorious. That's it. That's our Hellblade 2 conversation wrapped up. Let's move on to the next topic. No, we're going to get to that. We've all put a bunch of hours into it, so we'll have plenty to say. If you've been playing Hellblade 2 and you're worried about spoilers, don't be worried. We won't do anything remotely close to a spoiler. Darge, how's your week been?
Hello. Yeah, it's been alright. I'm just trying to remember now. What game was I playing last week? My memory's bad.
We're going to get onto games we played this week, so
we'll get on to
like 20
But
seconds to rack your brains.
Yeah, been a good week. Hellblade, talk about it in a minute. Still alive, and grateful for everyone who's here. That's me.
Do you know what? I don't think I set up. I don't think I set up our Discord question box because I suck and I forgot about it. I'll just put the YouTube one up there. So if you have questions for us this week to grab at the end of the show, do stick them in that box and we'll get to them. For now, though, let's talk about it. So we've all been playing Hellblade 2 today, but today's Tuesday. The game only came out today, right? And we've had a whole week of playing other things, potentially. So, Chris, have you had a chance to get onto any other games this week?
Unfortunately not. So I booted up my PC yesterday, did a load of updates, the usual bit of maintenance, and I installed Ghost, pre-installed Hellblade 2. And I installed that. Not a game that Darge was playing where you climb. Can't remember what it's called.
It's on. Yeah.
Yeah, installed that. So, but didn't play either of them, and then smashed through Hellblade 2 today. And
Nice.
took a lot of screenshots in photo mode.
It's just occurred to me now that you were talking, and now that Darge said that you can't remember what he's played this week. I actually have no idea what I've been playing this week. But Darge, you've had a little bit of time to think about it. What
I remember.
Episode 13 said Callisto.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't remember episode 13 told him.
He's a big fan of ours. We love him. But yeah. So Callisto, obviously I was gassing about that last week. I finished that, and that's just a sick game. Like, honestly, Dead Space remake is here. Callisto's like here. Like, it's right. It's such a shame it ain't going to get
which year was which?
A sequel. Dead Space is top. Like, Dead Space is blinding. You know what I mean? And obviously we spoke about shortcomings with the survival horror genre to break into, and the shortcomings of the game, how it done commercially, like, or you know, how it was received. But I loved it. I think it was the first time that I finished the game knowing that there was an expansion there and an extra chapter, and I was like hovering over the purchase just to go straight back in. And then I thought, nah, when we go a bit quiet in the summer, I'll do Phantom Liberty, do the expansion on this one and bits and pieces. And then I played No Rest for the Wicked, so I finally give that a boot up. And really like that. A few of the guys in our Discord, I was broadcasting it there. They was watching and laughing because obviously that, you know, the comparison with Souls, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got weight management and stamina and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, I could see like I was going to enjoy that game. It's not perfect. It's good to play, but it could do a little bit. You know what I mean? So come back out of that. Then you was streaming Tales of Iron. Was that Friday evening or something? You was playing that
at some point, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Friday evening. I see you playing that, and I remember Wandering Dutch's indie showcase from a few weeks ago. The trailer was shown at his thing, and I like the look of that trailer. And then I see you playing it, and then I thought, okay, I'll check this out. So I've pumped a bit of time into that. So I've been playing that. And then obviously we did have Carnage Forza Motorsport on Sunday with Dave Mack. You know, but yeah, just doing a bit of that. And then obviously the big one today, Hellblade 2. So we'll talk about that on a separate thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's about it. Been busy.
You didn't join the group on Star Citizen?
To be fair to him, Satama, he buttered me up like a row. We went, listen, there's an open weekend for 10 day or a 10-day out or stretch or whatever it is. And I was like, he was pressuring me. I get pressured. And I had enough on my plate as it was. And then by the time it came around, I think I was finishing up Callisto, looking at No Rest for the Wicked. And I think it goes through until the weekend coming. So maybe jump in. But the guys in our Discord, like Chronic, Dick Wimbat, they jumped in with him. And like they're all really enjoying it. So there's a lot of promise in Star Citizen. But no, I got it installed. I never actually booted it up as such. So yeah, no Star Citizen. Might have to wait till the next open weekend if they do one or launch.
I didn't think you were capable of like not jumping into a game that everybody's playing in the Discord.
Well, I've been doing a lot of my recovery stuff over the last week, so I'm learning about how to be mentally strong again. So it might have helped me, you know what I mean? Because I'm quite mentally weak at times. You catch me on a bad day, and yeah, I'll buy anything. So yeah, no, I wanted to clear up some bits, you know what I mean? Like Callisto was done. I felt good getting that done. No Rest for the Wicked had been sitting there for a bit, and I gave that a little look and thought, okay, that's still in preview. So I could go back to that another time. Then you was doing Tales for Iron. So I was still getting pulled away like a little moth, you know, to a flame. Started doing a bit of Tales of Iron, knowing that Hellblade was today. So I kept myself busy. But yeah, that's about it, mate.
Yes, Drake, repping the Mercs. I don't normally hold a mug like this. I'm just Diet Coke in the label there. Like, ooh.
Pete
Chris.
was asking what my mug was. He was asking whether it was a mini mug, but I said no, it's just a normal sized mug from Starbs.
Huge hands.
I like the colourway. Colourway's good. Exciting colourway.
I've just got wasps on mine.
Yes. Darge, I would quite like to hear a full Callisto Protocol review from you. You should consider doing a full Callisto Protocol review. That would be well worth a listen, I reckon. Chris, we haven't got that full review. Have you got any questions on any of them games that Darge has been playing? Anything you want to drill into on that?
I spoke about a bit on Callisto, so it's obviously got quite a good Hollywood cast, hasn't it? Which I think Darge thought a lot of the budget went that way on the old Hollywood cast, but I think they I think they lend to the atmosphere and the performance, don't they, Darge? In terms of like the game. But no, I like the Dead Space remake was good, so Callisto's probably something I need to pick up, but I think I've got like an order of things at the minute. I think I need to finish Hellblade 2, then I'll jump into Ghost, and then I'll flip out of Ghost to play Manor Lords when I actually get round to sitting down and having a bit of time to play some stuff without being taken away by something else.
I think where Callisto's concerned, like with regards to budgets and like that's why I always go back to survival horror. You know what I mean? Because it's like you got like the titans in that genre, ain't you? You know what I mean? Like Dead Space was already run, so remaking that, if that looks half a quality product, which it did, then it will do well. And I think even EA came out and said like they were fairly happy with it, how it had done. I don't know what the stats were. But like you say, you're pumping money in for a Hollywood cast and some quality graphics and stuff like that. And like, it's a big risk, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a single player game as well. You know, there's no like multiplayer components sort of retain people in. Maybe it could kick off and go viral and trend like that. So, you know, it's quality.
You're right. Like it's a single player game, but not just that, right? It's a single player game in a subgenre that died once before.
Exactly.
Right? Like Dead Space was big, Dead Space 2 was big, and it wasn't big enough, and they tried things like an action game with Dead Space 3, and you saw all of these horror games thrive for a little while, but not keep up with budgets as they expanded, because turns out people are scared of horror games sometimes. So,
and the thing is, like, if you just take the game and just go, I am playing $160 million worth of product here. It's a quality game. Like, it is quality. Like I say, some people have a gripe with like the sort of melee combat where you can sort of use the left stick to avoid attacking and stuff like that. I like that because, like I said before, if you're playing Resident Evil and you're down to the knife or you've got no ammo, you're pretty much fucked unless you're good at running. You know what I mean? So it was a new mechanic. It was trying new things and stuff like that, but it's just a budget and the return, and they just went, nah. And that was the end of it. So it's a shame, but I think it's a really good game myself.
Good. All right, I'm going to get to that at some point because it does sound like one that I should have done. I quite enjoy streaming the horror game, so do need to play that one. But let's move on to everybody's been playing Hellblade 2. I know a bunch of you that are here in chat have been playing Hellblade 2. Chris, I'm going to let you lead into this and tell us anything that you want to. Obviously, like no spoilers, but how are you finding Hellblade 2 so far?
Yeah, quality game. So I spoke to Darge quite a bit about it. It was in Discord, shared some screenshots and stuff. I think so. My best looking game ever is probably Red Dead Redemption 2, as everyone who knows me knows. I just think the world that they've created and stuff is incredible in it. But I think this is probably the best looking game I've played in terms of kind of atmosphere, graphical fidelity. Obviously, the mocap second to none. The audio design is absolutely insanely good. You need to play it with a good pair of headphones. And I think the whole kind of experience is just immense. And I said in Discord, I think a lot of people don't really realise, but I don't think Ninja Theory classed themselves as a game developer. I think they classed themselves as a a creator of experiences. I wouldn't go as far as to say like an interactive movie or anything like that, because there's a really good, amazing kind of skill set in the studio. But I think they kind of manage their own. Ignore, it's a third person kind of action game or whatever, or action adventure. But they kind of create their own like genres. They just don't care. They've got various kind of professors and things. This, like the first game, is all about kind of mental illness and schizophrenia and all these kind of things that are happening. Multiple voices and different kinds of voices. And I think they just do what they do, best, and they do what they want to do, and it's good that Microsoft and Xbox have allowed them to do that. I don't think Ninja Theory are going anywhere. I think the studio's too talented. I think the experiences they create are good. I think Jez has already kind of mentioned that 2 more projects are being greenlit. Obviously, we'd heard of Project Mara, and then there's another one which is being greenlit. So I think a few people were kind of worried that their message on Twitter yesterday was a goodbye message, but obviously it wasn't. I think it was just the studio heads going, we've worked on this for a long time. We hope you like it. It's kind of like our vision of a game. So I think that kind of experience, obviously, the reviews have been mostly positive. There's a couple of outliers out there. So we've got Metro, the gaming press that everyone loves. I mean, I don't know why anyone takes them seriously. A free paper on a train. But I think they come out and give it like a 5 out of 10. And just said it was. What did they say, Darge? It was kind of just uninteresting or long-winded.
The words slogfest were used, and stuff. It's stuff to that degree. But go on, mate, carry on.
Yeah. And obviously the other one, which is interesting, because I quite like some of the articles that they put out and stuff. But PC Gamer gave it 58 out of 100. So kind of give it a similar Metro score. I didn't really look at the summary, didn't have time to look at it. And it's like I've said to you guys before, I don't really give a shit about reviews. I care about like what you guys say and the guys that I trust in Discord and stuff. If they say try this game, then I know it's going to be worth trying. But I'm not really asked what Joe Bloggs, who writes for Metro, thinks of a game. So I like to get my hands on and play it myself. So my kind of experience, I'm probably a few hours into it. Immense, as I say. Audio design's great. The visual, the setting, I think the character fidelity. It feels really slick as well. The moving sinew around, like really quite slick. I'm playing on Xbox controller, and that feels like really nice and smooth. I'm obviously playing on PC ultra wide, so I haven't got any of the kind of borders that people were complaining about. And it looks awesome. There's one fight which absolutely did my nut in, and I messaged Darge straight away and said, "This is like a really shit bit of game design." And I feel like they don't give you enough information about the kind of combat mechanics. So I ended up fighting someone for like 20 minutes and not progressing. And at one point I was kind of like, is this glitched? I was kind of like, wasn't dying. I was dodging, I was fighting, I was kind of doing all this stuff. And then in the end, you have to use one of your abilities to kind of like move on. But at no point does the game kind of tell you about it. It kind of does this like multiple voice thing, and it kind of talks about like, doesn't talk about your ability. If I say to you, Asa, use a slash, and this isn't anything to do with Hellblade, I'm just trying to get it across without a spoiler. If I say, oh, you need to do a right-handed slash, then you go, okay, well, I need to do a right-handed slash, and that'll help me defeat this enemy. But it was just kind of like, it'd be like my voice just going, stab him, slash him, or whatever. You'd just be like, okay, I'll do that. I'm not progressing. What's happening? And really, there's like another mechanic you need to use, and it's like, what the fuck?
I had a similar 20-minute break when I got to a bag of sand. I was like, am I in control at the moment? I'm just like face to face with a bag of sand. Like, am I supposed to be holding up? Yeah. Oh, I have to press A to push the bag of sand out the way. Okay, cool. It's very HUD free and doesn't use like gamified language very much. Yeah, it does tell you a lot in its own way at other points in time. But so, Chris, did you enjoy the first game? Hellblade, the first one.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first game. It was just, I'd say it was an experience. I wouldn't say it was an amazing game, but it was an amazing experience. And obviously, at the time, played it with someone else. We kind of alternated between playing it. And both really enjoyed the experience. But it was kind of, it was, we explained it like that. It was like a really amazing experience. It wasn't an amazing game. And that's why I say I think Ninja Theory aren't a traditional game developer in the way that a Playground are, or Insomniac or someone like that. I think they have this kind of idea and obviously want to create a very specific experience. And I think they've done that amazingly well. And so far, I'm loving this game and the photo mode as well.
Using that first game as a kind of barometer, though, because that was fairly divisive in its own right, partly because it's not like a gamified, fun game, and partly because people had quite, I would say, valid criticisms around the puzzles and the combat and things like that. Using Hellblade 1 as like the yardstick, do you think they've improved on things, or is it just more of the same?
Yeah, I think it's improved. I think the whole kind of, ignore the kind of oral audio experience and stuff like that. I think they've clearly improved on the visuals, improved on the storytelling. I think the gameplay feels a bit nicer. I think it's obviously it's obviously an on rails game to a degree where you can kind of only walk in a certain way and they path things out. But I think it is. I think it's supposed to be kind of interactive story as opposed to a. A lot of people are going, "Oh, it's an old God of War and stuff." I don't think anyone at Ninja Theory would say they're making a God of War, just because there's a bit of like history around it and things like that. It's just kind of like they're not making a God of War. They've obviously sat down with the professor again. They've got like a new writer, so they got a new woman in who joined the team at a later date and wasn't involved in the first game. So she's obviously been helping and writing the kind of experience with. Well, Darge. Not me. No. Yeah, so obviously there's been other people involved in it. I think the production value has gone up. It's definitely. I enjoyed the first game. This is definitely a much better game for me. Obviously,
that's interesting.
I understand that some people are not saying that the combat is good enough, and certainly that fight I was having was absolute carnage. It was really awful, and so I'm a gamer. I used to be a game designer. I ain't someone who doesn't know how to play a game. But it just felt like there's a couple of moments where it just needs that little bit of actually, you can utilize this ability or whatever, and I don't mind like no HUDs and stuff like that, but I was playing devil's advocate like you obviously did, and I was like, if I don't move forward here, what happens? And she does just lay there, like audio going on and nothing happens, and you're just like, okay.
I'm going to be quite different to you when I talk about it because I'm going to be fairly scathing on the game relative to Hellblade 1. But Darge, you've put in a lot of time on that today because you didn't even climb onto a roof today. You dedicated most of your day to playing Hellblade 2. So
yeah, but I still had
give people a little bit of
do.
background though. Yeah, I'm sure you did. Give people a little bit of background.
You're making me out to be a layabout. What? So the first game.
Mm-hmm. And second, how long you played it? What are you thinking so far?
So the first game, finished the first game, rate the first game, loved it. Just quickly, just jumping on what Chris has said, yeah. Obviously, when Ninja Theory were acquired by Microsoft, I think like we all did, I did anyway, I kind of felt like, oh, here we go, this is the Naughty Dog equivalent, this is the Santa Monica equivalent, you know what I mean? And I think now what we're seeing with this game here and that is, that's not who they are. Do you know what I mean? Like they focus more on the visual, the audio, the storytelling side of things. That's their thing. You know what I mean? So we played the first game, got through it, loved the story. The battle that she was having in her own head. The audio back then was great. And eerie and stuff like that. Some of the puzzles were a bit of a bollock cake. I ain't gonna lie about it. You know what I mean? But we get through it, you know, and I enjoyed it. And the funny thing is, like, now moving on to this one, I really feel like me playing Indica, you know, a week or two ago, and then beating that kind of really, I was calling it a palate, like an appetizer for this game. And then after playing it, I was like, no, it probably ain't, because it ain't got no combat in it, but it kind of is, because there's those periods of narration between the player, you know, and Indica has got her own business going on with her mental health, you know what I mean? So obviously this takes things. So starting this game now, the Xbox app says I've got 4 hours in the game. That there must be a fuck up somewhere, because I know that I've been on it since about 9 o'clock until about 6:30. Not constant though. Yeah, it's a big jump. You know, we had a conversation earlier, like Luke Steele, he's a top bloke. He said in there, like, the meta scoring the way it was probably justified being where it is, because even though they've upped the production of visual and audio quality, the game kind of still does the same things, you know what I mean? But then obviously there are adjustments, and I spoke to Luke and I said, how far in are you? And obviously we ain't going to go into spoilers, but he said he just had a quick 30 minutes or so before he went to work. So I said, okay, we'll see when you get back. But you can see, you know, obviously when so just for clarity, the first game, was they just independent and PlayStation just bought the exclusivity for the game on the console for a year on PlayStation? Is that right?
I don't know about the monetary deal and marketing and stuff, but probably.
It was exclusive to PlayStation, right?
Exclusive,
so it was exclusive. So they had that, and then obviously now Xbox own them. So you can see that where that money and investment from Microsoft, obviously they've built out a full-blown mocap studio, obviously done better work with the audio, and it does pay off in this game, because visually, like, for me, Alan Wake is like, it's up there as well. I know Chris says about Red Dead, and to be fair, I haven't been back to Red Dead since, but for me, Alan Wake is up here, and Hellblade's there with it, you know. I still got a bit of a ways to go into it, but from what I've played up until now, I'm loving the journey. You know, the audio, I mean, we was laughing before we come on. Like, I always have one of my ear cups off, because where I'm in my house with my daughter and all that. But you can't do it in Hellblade, because the audio is so good. You have to whack the other one on, you know, and get stuck in. So I'm really impressed with it. I think I've said on this show when we first started, when Ninja Theory came out and said, no, it's going to be more aligned to the first game. It's going to be a short experience. And then I was like, okay, I had the expectation that it was going to be a 30, 40 hour story. You know what I mean?
Well, lad, what did you think you played GTA?
No, I'm just saying, like, obviously, maybe not as mad as that, you know what I mean? But just a bigger scale.
Hour story.
Yeah, well, all the completionist side of things, you know what I mean? But just like a bigger experience anyway. But that weren't the case. But to be fair with you, I'm playing through the game now. I'm happy. I actually don't mind the shorter experiences. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I'm going to let you unload on it now. So, yeah, what's your problem?
I'm the opposite of both of you. I'm like really underwhelmed, really disappointed with it so far relative to the first game. I'm like, credit where it's due. The visuals and the audio are brilliant. A lot of it is fantastic. There's some immense talent at Ninja Theory, but in terms of what the first game was and what it represented, they've fallen well off of it for me. You mentioned when you were talking about it, Darge, you said about the first one, it's like it's a battle in her head with all of these psychosis issues, and that is the center of the game. And it's not, you can come away from that and have no idea, like, really how much of that's supposed to be real, because it was all her. And you go into this one, and it's taken from a different angle, where like everyone is aware of what's happening. It's not going on in her head. Her psychosis is more of a superpower than an actual battle. And I feel like it's really missed the mark with that. I'm about 7 hours in, probably, so probably not that much more of the game to go. And if I were reviewing it critically, I'd give it all, and I may well review it critically, but I'd give it all due respect for the things that it does well and the talent that the studio has, because it is incredible looking. And there's times where you're just walking around going, that looks amazing. They've nailed that. And can't give too many spoilers of what I'm looking at, but visually it is a treat.
Iceland.
But fundamentally, like, and I would say, yeah, Iceland. I'd say they've improved on the puzzles, the pacing of them. They're less repetitive. They're better in terms of pacing, frequency, how they punctuate it, but worse in terms of they've gone Aloy in the way that it solves the puzzles for you. Like, the voices tell you where to go and what to do and what to press. Like, it's a bit irritating in that sense. And the combat, I would say, is neither better nor worse. Like, it's
same.
The combat was nothing to write home about in the first game, anyway.
No.
So.
It wasn't, but I hear people saying like, it's more visceral now. It's all heavy and weighty, and I don't feel that it is particularly. Like, you slash stuff with the sword, or you get hit in the face with an axe, and you go, well, all right. And if you do happen to fail, it gives you a certain number of chances in any particular encounter, and you get hit in the face with an axe a few times. And if you do happen to fall to it, screen goes black, and it starts like 10 seconds prior. It says have another go. And it's like, just feels like a weird way to handle that. So there's a lot.
I think one.
Go on.
I think one thing I would say about this game so far, like, I'm about the same amount of playtime as you, I reckon. It does feel like it's not criticism for me, like, do you know what I mean? But it feels very linear, you know, like, but very linear, you know what I mean? Yeah, linear. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind that, because like the previous Hellblade, I remember being in those, you know, like when those like Blair Witch fucking symbols all over the place, and I could be in them areas traveling about for ages trying to solve a puzzle. Whereas now it's a little bit more tunneling. But like I say, I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying I've noticed. It might just be me and the way I'm playing through the game. It just seems that way. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's one thing. But yeah, the combat. I think the reason people were saying about the visceralness and that is like the enemy types in the first game were all like those hooded. You know, they had like them sort of deer head types. So they didn't wear it now. In certain areas, you might be fighting like actual humans. And you can see some of the levels with the quality of the visual now. It's like, or you know, that looks, it just hits a bit differently, you know what I mean? But yeah, it probably is a bit samey, but I hear what you're saying, mate.
It has its moments of thunk and thud and cut and gore. So it is visceral in that sense, but also not at certain points in time as well. Chronix just said that he likes to focus being more on her thoughts about others' opinion of her and her actions, which... What I find as I'm playing it is, in the first one, the voices added a lot to the tension and atmosphere, and they were like casting doubt within Senua as she went through. And in the second one, I feel like the voices are mostly talking to me as the player. Like they're narrating the experience more so and giving me clues and just talking to me about what's happening and why she's going places. And like that's a fine line to walk, because the first game would have also been given like narrative clues as well in the same way. It just feels more direct in this one. Like, I don't know, but saying all of that, I sound really negative. I think, like,
do you not think the studio? Sorry, I think there's a delay, so obviously
there is. Yeah, it's my fault.
Do you not think the studio are trying to make it more accessible to people who didn't enjoy the first game or didn't find the first game accessible because it was too much? It was too heavily weighted on the psychosis thing. Because I do know a few people who didn't enjoy the first game because. It was quite heavy and deep and things like that.
They've put a story. Yeah, they've put a story recap.
And there's obviously some elements, without trying to spoil it, there's some elements where kind of the voices in Senua's head kind of send her off on a bit of a wild goose chase and stuff, and they kind of, so those helpful voices are also kind of trying to trick her at times. But I'm obviously not as far as you two into it, so for me so far, it's only kind of Senua that knows she's got this psychosis element, because even some of the other characters I've met, obviously, like they don't know what she's experiencing and why she wants to continue on and things like that. You know, they think she's just off her head and it's dangerous and stuff like that.
The battles that Senua has in the first game, where it creeps into Norse mythology and you've got like Hela and gods and demons and all the rest of it going on, those were harder to they weren't necessarily tangible. Like, this was her mental battle and the way that she was visualizing things. Whereas in this game, there are peripheral characters who also see the monsters, and that just gives them a different context. And it's like they were never making a God of War, but this one kind of encroaches on that world and setting without fully leaning into it, and it takes a weird middle ground for me.
It does kind of without, I can't really go into it, like, but there is someone speaks to her during the game and sort of says something to her about like what she, and there is a line, like you say, there is a line between where it's like they do thread it together, if you get me, without me going.
For me, they don't.
No,
yeah, like,
and I can talk to you after, and then you might say, once you say it, you go, yeah, I remember that, and that weren't really enough for me. And I go, all right, cool. But it's not, excuse me, it's not like as if they just went, oh, this is all a mental battle, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's real life. Like, do you know what I mean? It's they've tried something, but I do get what you're saying. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's an interesting take.
But it is gorgeous and disgusting as well. Like, to its credit, when you look at it from that more human perspective, particularly like towards the opening of the game and the brutality between people there, it's fairly unsettling. It is a gorgeous game. It sounds brilliant, and the lighting is so impressive. It's one of those rare. HDR is very rarely done well in games. You've got PlayStation Studios typically do it well, and Microsoft's first party have typically done it well. But it's not that common that it's striking, and Hellblade is striking. It uses the extremes of contrast and color really nicely. So there's a lot going for it that I do like, and I think Ninja Theory are a fantastically talented studio. But I'm overall, like, it's just not.
Sounds like you'd be closing them down, Mason, if you were in charge of
I'd be getting them back onto Kung Fu Chaos, Chris. Give me another.
In regards to, that's what I was going to say. In regards to obviously the alleged like projects that have been greenlit from them now, Project Mara, which obviously we know about, which again looks like it's going to be more experienced than a video game. What would you like? Would you like them to rest the Hellblade series and create something new, or would you want a third installment?
Well, that's like. That would I've not finished the game, so I don't know how it like closes off or doesn't close off as to whether it needs a concluding part or not. In terms of atmosphere, feel, tone of it, I would have liked them to have stopped after the first one, because even the recap that it gives of the first one, when you go into this one, it starts off with a recap of Hellblade 1, which just tells it like little how to describe that.
Like hieroglyphics.
It is hieroglyphics, but it does the same thing where it leaves it open to interpretation on what's real and what isn't. Like it very much explains it as this was Senua's battle, and this is what it did to her, where it came from, how she got to where she is, without saying like what's real and what isn't. And it finished nicely where it was. But yeah, that's just me. What about you, Chris?
But that's your perspective, isn't it? And everyone, it's gaming is subjective. So you like Final Fantasy, I think it's shit. And you know, I like stuff that you probably think shit or whatever. So that it's so subjective, isn't it? And this is why it's better to listen to opinions of friends and stuff. Like, I take your opinions more seriously than some unknown person writing for like.
Who's going to say me?
I don't. Yeah, never listen to you unless it's about roofing. But like, even with your like damning review of it, I think everyone should play it themselves. They shouldn't listen to your damning review of it and go, "I'm not going to play it now because Asa thinks it's shit."
I'm not even like, I wouldn't even, if I were reviewing it more critically, the things that they do well. I always say this about reviews because it is very difficult to put things like for like with other games and all the rest of it, but it's important to recognize what is good, and there is so much that is so outstandingly good in this that my review wouldn't actually be damning. Just my overall opinion of it, I'm kind of disappointed by the direction, in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd like to see the makeup of the studio, because Ninja Theory kind of very much reminds me of like Sony Cambridge. It was like a really high quality creative studio, really good artists, really good creatives, etc. But it lacked design. And I'm not saying I know for certain whether Ninja Theory lacks design, because you could say there's elements of design, audio design, story design. Obviously, working with the University of Cambridge around like the psychosis and things like that. You can argue that they're all elements of design in their own right, but I'm not sure whether they've got that many kind of like gameplay designers, or they've clearly got some level designers, because regardless of whether the world is linear, the really nice kind of levels that are being created and the journey and the path that you go on. But I honestly think some of it's like a real conscious decision, as opposed to giving the player a bit more of a wide berth. And that's not to say, could you inject some further talent into the studio and say, actually, we'll keep these kind of visceral story experiences, but we'll utilize the visuals and the talent and the audio designers and all these kind of elements with a slightly different game. And that might be, I'm not necessarily saying an open world game, but it might be more of a kind of whatever, third person platformer, or something back to the Kung Fu days or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think Project Mara will be interesting because it's effectively it was set in the studio, wasn't it, or a part of the studio visually. But we'll see what they do, or whether Phil closes them.
I'm very optimistic that they're not being closed. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Darge, did you like the combat in Hellblade 2?
I don't mind it. Like I say, it's basic. Do you know what I mean? It is basic, but one thing that's fucking winding me up is the parry timing. It don't matter if it's just before impact, just on the backswing. It don't matter what I do. I seem to not be hitting it. Like, it's doing my head in. But get good and that. But yeah, I don't mind it, but it is basic.
Do you think, though? So the reason that I asked that, because obviously, like, it is basic, and there are games that have more of an emphasis on combat, but this one's emphasis is on like tension and things. Do you think you could substitute the combat system for a different one, and like, would that make the game better or worse if you did?
I mean, you could, but then who are we at the end of the day to start swapping bits and bobs out? You know what I mean? That's them, innit? You know what I mean? That's, it is what it is. And obviously, if they get enough, not criticism, but they get enough feedback back from people going like, yeah, it was a little bit, you know what I mean? And when the next game comes around, they go, all right, we'll get a bit expansive. We'll hire in another animator, for combat, and we'll try and do some other stuff, But obviously, where this is Hellblade, and that's kind of how it was in the first game, they've obviously carried on in that vein. Obviously, there's a little bit of switching up with it. And obviously, like you say, the people you're fighting, people are coming out going, oh, it's really visceral. And, because like everyone was thirsting for a combat trailer. They wanted to see the combat. And then they showed you like a well-edited piece of combat where it was the brutal, like the fatal strikes. You know what I mean? And everyone was like, oh, this is it. But when you actually play the game, it is very basic. But like I say, I don't mind it. I think, if you stripped it out, just say you took God of War's combat and put that in this game, you change the whole dynamic of the game, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Because it plays differently. It's like, because of the linear nature, like I say, they probably say, the story is paramount. How we represent the story through our visual and our audio is secondary. Yeah. And as you're working your way down, you've got to go, oh, yeah, we've got to have a bit of sword fighting in there. Yeah. So let's make that authentic, because it probably is authentic fighting with swords. You've seen them doing the mo-capping with a saw and that.
I presume you guys are aware that there's like 4 different directions that you attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can jog, you can dodge about and fly around and stuff like that. There's loads of different ways.
No, I'm about to strike. So if you press your sword,
like across this way.
Yeah, if you push up, she'll attack him at the top, on the side, on that side, to the legs and stuff.
Yeah,
I was not aware of that, and I'm near the end of the game.
Well, you didn't realise you could up and down it.
Right. So there is an element of mechanics, but it goes back to the thing that I said like earlier on, where there's a fight in it and it's fucking garbage, and it's garbage because it doesn't tell you that. It doesn't tell you what you need to do. And I'm not saying like a handhold and or something like that, but any other game, if you give a character, if you give a character an ability or something, the game will indicate how you utilize that ability or what it's useful for. And someone somewhere has made a decision to just go, the player needs to just kind of work that out themselves. And I think that's, I think that's a mistake in the game, especially for if you want to grab a load of people who didn't play the first one and want to kind of come into this and enjoy this kind of cinematic storytelling experience. Like, I genuinely thought it glitched. I was fighting for 20 minutes and couldn't move on until I spoke to Darge, and he was like, "Yeah, it's this," and I was like, "You're fucking joking." And then
I was button mashing it as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it does. Like you said, Asa, I've done exactly the same thing. When you was first talking about the sandbag, I thought, what's he fucking talking about? And then I remembered when you said the camera was fixed, and you thought, oh, is it part of a cutscene where something's going to happen? Just like staring at this bag for a minute, and then, like you say, just hit a couple of buttons, and then it was like, oh fuck me, it was down to me. You know what I mean?
Well, I did the same thing as Asa. Oh, sorry. Go on, man.
No, it does have those moments when because it is very linear and you do a lot of like hold up to progress game, and it has these moments that I consider them Uncharted moments because that's where it first started to frustrate me. But where your character's moving forwards and you've been holding up on the left stick for a little while and you start to wonder like, am I doing anything? Or is this a cutscene? It does have those moments.
Yeah. And it does. There are bits where you're holding the stick up and then you let go of it, and it's like it's just moved into like an in-game cutscene, and you're just like, "What am I doing?" And then, as I was saying before, there's like bits where I've played devil's advocate and on kind of traversals, I've just gone, let go of everything, and the whole traversal thing just stops, and you're just like, I wonder how long I can just stay here for, and will it just stay on like a screensaver?
Yeah.
But obviously,
and when you
sorry, I was just gonna say there's obviously like an internal thing, isn't there, where they're gonna go, well, because we used to do the same at Sony. You used to kind of like game test mechanics yourself, and then at some point you've just got to go, well, gamers aren't going to be dickheads and not do that. Like, there are going to be dickheads out there who will do it, but you just go in. The masses are just going to carry on. So, and there's going to be like a handful. So,
if you saw the way I played Dragon's Dogma, you'll know it's definitely me. I'm the dickhead.
I've seen the way you played Sea of Thieves and whatever with me.
Yeah, exactly the same way, Chris. That's how he plays it.
Fire kills.
Right, we had a couple of YouTube thingies come through. So Bri sent a 2-month member milestone. So thank you for that, Bri. We will get some more Among Us in soon. And he's just said, like, how you doing? And we're all doing brilliant. I can tell from everybody's faces that everybody's doing brilliant. And we've had Pete, the Arcadia, with a super chat saying, Ninja Theory, you've done good. Onwards and upwards. Ninja Theory won't read that, Pete, but sentiment received. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Have you played it much, Pete? In fact, I saw Pete was going to play between the PC and the Xbox and do a little comparison, but I don't know. Don't know what his results and findings were. So, shall we put Hellblade 2 behind us for now and talk a little bit about Ghost of Tsushima? And this one's going to be brief. There's definitely not going to be spoilers because we're not actually playing Ghost of Tsushima just yet. But Chris, you've got it. It's had at least moderate success on its PC release. Nexus have done the port and it's said to be running very, very nicely. What are your thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima's PC launch?
So I think Nexus is probably the best studio Sony have ever bought, especially as they move into the PC era. Because there's a couple of people I trust have just said like the port's fantastic. And so far, pretty much every port they've done has been fantastic. So some purchase that. Yeah, it's pre-installed. Obviously, can't wait to play it. I was kind of mindful, so my brother's played quite a bit of it. Not the PC, the original. And I think he's gone back to it on PlayStation 5. Because he doesn't have a PC yet. And it was one of those, I was mindful that it was going to be like a big game. And I was just saying to him the other day, I need to kind of finish Dragon's Dogma off, and a few of these things keep coming up where it keeps pulling me away to a different game, doing a bit of a dodge, trying new things and stuff like that. So I'll finish Hellblade 2 off and then I'll jump into Ghost, because especially on the back of like watching Shogun and stuff, I'm in that kind of historic Japan mode.
Love that.
Which is probably why I'm quite looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows that we'll get into later, I'm sure. Yeah, I think it's had nearly 80,000. Was it overtook
it
God of
was.
War or something?
Yeah.
Overtook God of War, didn't it, as like PlayStation's most successful product. I don't know if they've classed it against Helldivers, but in terms
I think
of like
Helldivers is still ahead of it, but in terms of their their
Single
single-player
player,
delayed
innit?
port.
in terms of their like first person or first party or whatever
Yeah.
studios. So yeah, it's good that PC gamers are seem to be giving all kinds of games a lot of love, but we always have over the year, haven't we?
Well, this one's come out 4 years after its PlayStation 4 launch. Is that the correct time frame to delay a PlayStation game?
No, I think it'll be day and date on it very soon. But yeah, I think everything will go day and date, as we've said. But it's just good that they've got a really good studio. I think the question mark for us, and we touched upon it a few episodes back, is how important did Nixus become when studios start making day-and-date PC games?
Very.
Because no, but not necessarily Darge, because obviously you're not making a game and then asking a studio to port it. You're basically dual
Changing the
delivering it
pipeline.
across multiple platforms.
Well, they not just hire more at Nixus and have teams over with these first party studios, sort of taking
That
that
would be a very
workload off of them.
expensive way to handle it.
Would be an expensive way. You wouldn't go however many people, you wouldn't go you hundreds, we're going to move you to that studio to make that PC game and then that studio to make that one.
But then how would they make day and date work?
They would just hire people who can develop for those platforms within the studios. Like they
have to follow the same kind of development platform that Microsoft and every third-party publisher is already doing, which has pros and cons.
So what happens to Nixus then?
Well, that's what I was asking the question, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate, I tuned out the question and just chimed in mid-question.
I was just trying to dial it without really hearing what we were talking about.
I don't know, mate.
That was the question. Yeah, what happens to Nixus when day and date start happening and you basically have development teams in your studio do a multi-plat?
Well,
there's a lot of ifs and buts and stuff in that hypothetical, though, because we are not necessarily that close to it happening. I know there's a strong feeling around that it's getting that way, and you have to think if you're at Sony pulling the strings, you are, for better or worse, going to make that decision to change the pipeline rather than to try and port everything later. But there's still a chunk of old games for Nixus to work on, and there's still a lot of expertise in that studio. So whatever direction Sony do go, whatever approach they take, hopefully Nixus are nice and protected.
Do you expect at this Sony global strategy event thing tomorrow, I think it is, Totoki's there, part of it. Do you expect them, obviously, maybe to announce a state of play and maybe talk about PC integration more going forward?
That event is not on my radar whatsoever because they're not typically about PlayStation. And it could be because PlayStation's a big part of Sony's business. But
well, it's the biggest part, I think, now, right? It's like obviously they got Totoki there, so that's what I'm thinking. There's going to be something PlayStation centric. I would have thought, you know what I mean? So
is he not just there as an exec though?
Well, I don't know, mate. Like obviously I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
He adds up like loads of stuff. So for me, that's very much a wait and see because it is I expect a very dry, boring event out of that one. They might touch on PlayStation, they might not.
Well, it's close to the tech event, isn't it? So surely they're going to be talking about TVs and panels and all the other electronics that they do.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Imaging lenses.
Yeah, and Walkmans.
Definitely the Walkmans. Yeah,
bring them back. Ghost of Tsushima, we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah, Darge, tell me about it.
Well, I wouldn't know. Obviously, we gave a copy away last week to Dead Gecko. I don't know if he's been playing it, but anyway, people have been playing it. And Replicant, he highlighted to me yesterday on Twitter someone laughing because it hadn't made 100,000 concurrent players on Steam DB, in comparison with like Helldivers, which is obviously a multiplayer sort of driven game. And then obviously today Hellblade was at like 3,000 in Steam. But it's done really well. Like it's done well. And obviously they're looking at it. I think they said, was it Horizon Forbidden West was one that they sort of said didn't do as well as they anticipated or something like that, or something to that varying degree. But Ghost of Tsushima, obviously Gamsley, who's a co-host of yours on the Thursday show, he said he didn't quite understand the hype behind the game. But regardless of that, when it came out and dropped, there was quite a lot of people who did enjoy the game. It was quite critically received, like well received. So yeah, obviously the numbers are there backing it up. The PC gamers have waited for it, wanted to see it. Apparently it looks gorgeous. I will get round to it, but I'll probably have to wait till after Hellblade. So tomorrow. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Just more games, you know. I was saying to people earlier, I just hope Nintendo end up just saying, fuck it, there's just money sitting there. Let's just make ports and just port over the PC. They're shutting all the emulators down. You know what I mean? So why don't we just like build our own thing and just get to earn some more money? You know what I mean? So that'd be great for me. You know, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo games all on PC, but doubt it. But yeah, good to see another PlayStation game doing well on the PC platform.
Wonderful. Tell me about, Chris, you mentioned Assassin's Creed Shadows there. You're on a Japanese feudal culture kick at the moment. You've been watching Shogun. Now you've seen the trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I think was Wednesday last week, maybe, which means it just missed our show. What are you thinking on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Assassin's Creed games. Obviously, we spoke about Valhalla. It was a bit, it got I put a big chunk of time into it, but then it just got a bit kind of follow the icons on the map, and I think I just got sidetracked with other stuff and never really went back to it. But Origins was probably my favourite Assassin's Creed game. Obviously in Egypt and whatnot. So really looking forward to it. Obviously, it caused a bit of controversy because it's got a black samurai in, as well as a female shinobi. So there's kind of two characters you play. I did post something on Twitter, like a really good article from Smithsonian about obviously the character that's portrayed in it. I think, like, long story short, it was basically like mercenaries couldn't carry weapons, and he's supposed to be from kind of African descent, but you don't know whether he was from like Nigeria or somewhere of that ilk. And he was made into a samurai, as he was kind of like a bodyguard. So it's a really interesting article to read and stuff like that. But just blows my mind how people get really caught up on a studio's decision of a character, and it's so you can have a white character in this game, which is supposed to be, authentically Japanese, but you have an American in it, and it's like fine, but all of a sudden you can't have a black samurai for certain people. But it's just the studio have done their kind of research. They've obviously gone on the kind of storytelling path that they want to. I don't think. I mean, I might be naive in it. I don't think someone at Ubisoft sat there and gone, "Let's be really controversial and try and shoehorn a certain type of character into our story." But who knows? They might all have an underlying tone for it. But yeah, Twitter kind of imploded. A lot of people weren't happy. I presume those people are just racists. Ultimately,
I think 99.8%, like, very much racist noise to distort any hint of an article or truth that like might actually have been worth discussing. So it's very difficult to pick anything from it that's said in good faith. Most of it isn't. But so you're looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I really want to see. Obviously, yeah, I think what I want to do is I want to finish Ghost, and then I know they're kind of set in the same time period, and they're obviously not necessarily trying to be the same game, but want to see what two different studios take on that kind of period and a story driven in that element. I know you talking about Ghost, where Did you get bored when you had to follow foxes and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yeah, which is very much like the Assassin's Creed style of game development as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like repetitive
Well,
activities.
yeah, that'd be interesting. Obviously, we've seen the cinematic trailer and we've seen a couple of like static screenshots. So it'd be interesting to see kind of some gameplay and things like that. But we know what Ubisoft do. They normally do the kind of cinematics announce, and then as you start getting a little bit closer, they start to release, like they did with Valhalla, start to release kind of in-game elements and stuff like that. But yeah, looking forward to it. So, how about yourself? Are you looking forward to it or not so excited?
Have never really played an Assassin's Creed game on account of the series starting off as being stealth based, which just put me off massively. And I know the series changed from that, but then this one, by name and setting, I expect stealth to kind of be part of the focus of it again,
Yeah,
even
actually,
if optional.
that's a good point. That's a good point because I think one of the articles spoke about some kind of Splinter Cell mechanics in there in terms of really kind of utilizing light and dark and stuff like that. I'll try and take out the article and put it in Discord, but it was quite. I'm a
I
bit
think you
like you,
tweeted
the
it,
kind
didn't
of
you?
possibly did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit like you, the kind of stealth missions and games. I kind of try and just get past, unless I was going into like a Splinter Cell, knowing full well it's a stealth game or like an original Metal Gear or something. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what. And I presume, I wonder if they try and balance that out by going, actually, you either play as this samurai character or you play as the shinobi. I'm sure there's going to be some crossover like GTA or something. But it may be a way of going, actually, if you're not really fully into stealth, then you can opt to switch to him or play more predominantly as him. Or if you are into stealth, then you can obviously play more as the shinobi. But be interesting to see how they handle that.
Is the second character also based on a real person, or is that one fictional?
I think the second person's fictional, but I haven't done as much digging as I did on. So obviously the samurai character, because a lot of people were kind of challenging it. So I thought it was helpful to share some historical facts or whatever. So I don't know whether they've added a fictional character in the female shinobi or not.
What about because I don't play them, I have no idea. What about other Assassin's Creed games? Like, what kind of protagonists do they normally pick and follow?
So I think obviously you've had kind of Black Flag, you've had Pirates. I'm not sure whether they were historically correct. Obviously the settings are historically correct. I guess the you had kind of like Jack the Ripper and stuff. I know it was DLC. But you had him in.
You don't play as Jack. Do you play as Jack the Ripper?
You play as Jack the Ripper. You had it in DLC. It was only available on PlayStation. It was amazing, yeah. But obviously not kind of Jack the Ripper necessarily murdering prostitutes or whatever. There was another element to it. Or were you hunting Jack the Ripper? I can't remember. It's a while ago. Obviously the settings are very accurately correct. I'm not sure whether Odyssey was a couple of real world characters. I'm sure someone else will be able to.
Leonidas and stuff like that. Yeah, Spartans.
Yeah, I think there's always kind of like there's always characters. So obviously in Origins, Cleopatra, and there's always, but whether the actual protagonist was
Oh yeah, no, Alexios, and yeah,
the Shinobi is fictional, but obviously he's historically accurate. So.
Yep.
Darge, you tell me about Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Do you know what, mate? I remember.
Darge needs a little snooze.
No, I don't need a snooze. I'm sweet. I remember the trailer was coming, and I never watched it. And then I kind of Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed. I can't watch it. I'm doing a show, and I ain't gonna watch it.
Asa will put it on.
I don't need to watch it. I don't need to watch. It's an Assassin's Creed game set in fucking Japan. Yeah, I know what's going to happen. Yeah, there's going to be samurais and this, that, and the other. And then obviously I see enough on Twitter with the outcrying and the whatnot. And then obviously I've spoken to you and seen the articles with the historical accuracies and this, that, and the other. And then obviously the internet's going to internet, right? So
Asa's going to bring it up. Watch it, Darge. There you go. Let's get a live.
Oh yeah, look. Yeah. So there's a bloke running. Does it liven up at any point?
Yeah, there's fire and smoke.
I mean, I know it's a good
So-
setting. It's a good setting for Assassin's Creed. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm getting trolled in the chat now because you're saying I want to go kip. I ain't even been to work today. I'm fucking good. I'll do this show for 4 hours if you want.
You can do it for 4 hours on your own.
I'll do it. Please. But anyway, yeah. So I see the controversy and the outcry. To be fair, we are. For me, it's a video game. Cool. Like Assassin's Creed, obviously, like we just said then, you know, back in the Italian, I can't remember all the fucking names, Ezio or whatever in the earlier ones, you had Leonardo da Vinci was on firm, you know what I mean? You pop in da Vinci's shop and go and see what he's up to. And then obviously you got the Odyssey, excuse me, with the Greeks, and you had Leonidas and the god, like, you know, all the Greek gods and all this other business. Just a video game for me. You know what I mean? I ain't going to get bent up out of shape out of nothing. So basically, yeah, I'm seeing it here now, yeah? Okay. Oh, I feel outraged by that. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, so it's just Assassin's Creed. I don't even have to watch the trailer. It'll just be an Assassin's Creed in a beautiful setting with a load of cherry orchids and all that old business, and I'm sure it'd be a good time. The most important thing for me with regards to this game is I think Ubisoft actually came out and said it's going to be scaled back again, right? So it's not going to be as life demanding as Odyssey and Origins, but it should be a bigger game than Mirage. So hopefully, because I didn't really click with Mirage, I didn't enjoy it. But hopefully this one brings that Odyssey and Origins thing in with it that I did enjoy, but it's not, because I mean I put a lot of time into Odyssey and I still didn't beat the game. I was like, fucking hell, how much time do you want from me? You know, you want more than my kids. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I get it's coming out this year, right? Is it November? Is it at the end of the trailer or something? November, yeah.
I think it's November.
Yeah. So yeah, I get it. I play it, and I'll probably drop it as well. But yeah, about the controversy stuff and that don't bother me. Do you know what I mean? I just I'll just play video games for the sake of the game, not for the context. You know what I mean? If I want like fucking full blown, you know, massage of my ego done, I'll go and sit down in a library and read an history book. You know what I mean? Do I even know this one's historically accurate? And really, I'm just saying, like, you know, if I'm sitting there going, this is my idea. This is my idea of how ancient Greece worked, and I'll go and read a book about fucking Zeus and the rest of the firm, and live in my little bubble. But yeah, video game, cool. Sorry, mate, but I'm not going to entertain. I'm not going to enter. No, but I'm saying my ego. The reference of bringing up the ego is the people who feel wrong done by decisions that's been made. You know what I mean? So like, oh, you know, how could I do this to us? Like, fuck off! It's a video game. If you want, if you want that, go and pick and choose what you want to read. You know what I mean?
You're going to go to the library and read about a Victorian roofer.
I'm too busy. I've got too many books on my card at the minute for hair growth. I've got all the books out for hair growth. They're overdue as it goes.
Right, okay. I don't know. I've got nothing else to say about Assassin's Creed. So these two are probably looking forward to it. I'm probably not even going to download it. Ubisoft will send me my email saying, you've got Ubisoft Plus, you don't use it enough. Assassin's Creed's just arrived. And I'll go, all right. And you never know. I might play it a little bit, do a little bit of stealth. Look at the pretty graphics.
Have a little look. Just have a look at the engine at least.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be, it's on an updated Anvil engine, so it probably will be technically very impressive at the point that it comes out. So maybe I'll have a little look-see. Maybe it'll be the game that hooks me into the Assassin's Creed franchise and gets me to go all the way back to the beginning and embrace stealth and change my life. But more likely, that won't happen. Let's talk about Shiver. Nintendo gone on a vicious acquisition spree. It's nothing vicious about it. They bought Shiver from Embracer. For those that don't know, Embracer are falling apart and they've split into their 3 studios and all the rest of it. They are the massive conglomerate that went around buying as many people as they could and then realized that wasn't a super great business strategy and fell apart. They've sold
an all right business strategy before COVID.
It wasn't.
We lost so much money.
Exactly. Yeah. So they've gone, but they've been selling a lot of studios. They got rid of Saber, Gearbox, and a bunch of important studios for them, or big studios. Shiver, you could be forgiven for thinking they're quite small or having not heard of them, because typically they're a porting house. They've ported games to the Switch, such as Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat being one of my favourite ports of all time, because it's so freaking terrible looking by comparison to the main game that it makes for a comedy side by side. But Nintendo have got them. What are they going to do with them? Any ideas?
Porting.
Porting.
Are they not going to be?
This is Darge as a topic.
It's not. I'll hang it out for you, though, mate. Don't worry. So, like, just looking into them, obviously they get accredited with being like the Hogwarts studio team, and fucking this, that, and the other. But if you look into it, they're the porters, right? So they port the game over to Nintendo. Is that correct?
Yeah, which is a feat in and of itself, though, because that's a
game
made for a bigger.
Mm-hmm. Defo, but this is like, so are we like looking at this sensibly and going, this is a Nintendo acquisition for the next gen hardware that they've literally got coming to market, inside the next year, and they're going to want more of them sort of AAA type experiences over on the device. So why not do what Sony did and get your own in-house porting team with a good track record? They work magic. Just seems like a good idea. Obviously, Embracer are a mess, aren't they? So obviously getting them out of there is good for them. Getting them in with Nintendo, they've got a load of work. I ain't even going to go there in saying like the possibility of them porting Nintendo games the other way, because I ain't even going to get my hopes up about that. So I think it'll just be for the basis of the Nintendo Switch 2 onwards. You know what I mean? Get more AAA over. Personally, what do you reckon?
I reckon there's a fair chance that if Nintendo didn't step in, Shiver would have been shut down, because Embracer are trimming everywhere that they can. So it could be as simple as they're literally working on a game for Nintendo at the moment, or like for the Nintendo platform, and situation arose where if Nintendo didn't take them on, that game was never going to release. They might even be shut down when the project is over, rather than have any long-term plan whatsoever. But I don't have a clue, because I'm not privy to the reason that Nintendo went and got them. They don't often acquire studios though, so I don't know.
Any idea what that project is, or is it an unannounced sort of one?
No, I've got no ideas. I'm just completely making shit up.
Oh, okay. So we just think that they're currently midway through something which will benefit Nintendo. So Nintendo have gone, fuck it, we'll pick them up. Embracer are obviously offering them out to people, going like, look, anyone interested in buying this? Otherwise, we're just going to shut it all down. And Nintendo have gone, well, actually, we'll keep the lights on, get what we need out of them, and with the possibility of maybe shutting it. But like you say, it is a possibility. They may keep them on long term, but there's always the chance that they might well just go, thank you very much for that, see you later.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Who knows?
Chris has got a mouthful. Get him to talk. Ask him anything.
What you got in there?
Jaffa cake?
Oh, fuck
yeah, emergency Jaffa cake.
Now I'm jealous.
Any thoughts about Shiver, or do you want to talk about the new studio that Microsoft and Activision have opened up?
Yeah, let's move on to the new one. Darge beautifully summed up Shiver, didn't he? And yourself with the Mortal Kombat ship port.
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called. I was hoping you would lead into it. I was hoping you'd take that and run. What's the new studio called, and what are they doing?
So obviously, Microsoft and Activision have opened up a new studio. So I can't remember what it's called. It's called like
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere. Everyone elsewhere.
Is it Elsewhere Entertainment or something?
Yeah, it's made up predominantly of CG Project Red and another studio.
Naughty Dog.
Was it Naughty Dog and Santa Monica?
Naughty Dog and Project Red, yeah. Yeah, so, and they've obviously been tasked with creating a epic RPG style product. I think I don't think they just decided to open them. I don't think they closed Arcade and went, with that money we'll open a studio. I think obviously whenever organizations reduce headcount and stuff like that, they'll do it to announce another part of the business and things like that. It's just the way it works, unfortunately. But yeah, if you look on LinkedIn and various other places, there's like a massive amount of CD Projekt Red people there. I think it's almost like 70 or 80, with then the split going over to Naughty Dog. Really talented individuals. CD Projekt Red, obviously they had the whole kind of cyberpunk nonsense, but before that, The Witches and things like that. So I think we can see that the kind of Microsoft and Xbox are trying to kind of create some of these niches, across the industry. I think they are mindful that they're kind of missing certain elements. I think obviously with Obsidian, Bethesda, you name it, obviously a lot of RPG talent there anyway. It's almost like they're trying to kind of put their arms around that niche, and just create these kind of massive RPG products. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what they like. Obviously, I think with everything that's been going on with Arcade and stuff, there's been the usual kind of naysayers on social media going, "Oh, I wonder how long they're going to give them," and stuff like that. But I have to respond to a few people and say, "So have you seen how long they've given the Project Dark team and various other and even Playground and people like that for Fable and stuff?" So I think where required, people to get time, and where studios are not necessarily making money or haven't got a roadmap that coincides with what they're trying to achieve, then unfortunately they'll go like other studios have gone. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what they do.
There's so the timing caught people's attention because obviously, like a week or two back, those studios at ZeniMax were closed. Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, Roadhouse, and Alpha Dog were all. Well, three of them were closed and one of them was absorbed. There was a common theory spun with some truth to it, I'm sure, that all of this was ultimately Microsoft executive team decision, came from Satya Nadella and was out of the Xbox exec team's hands. It was all done above their heads and there's nothing they could do about it. When you took that kind of perspective or that look at the situation and then followed that through to a new studio opening 2 weeks later, then it became like fairly wide perception, not that wide, but within social media space, that that something untoward was going on there, that they're closing with one hand and opening with the other. Realistically, that's not how it works. Elsewhere have probably been like building up for a significant amount of time before all of this happened, and the way that Nadella would hand down edicts would be based upon those three separate houses like Xbox Studios, ZeniMax, and Activision Blizzard King, very, very separately in terms of you need to trim, you're doing all right, and all the rest of it. So it's not some maniacal scheme to hurt some and help others, as it were, but it's just a slightly unfortunate timing in the way it was announced. Overall, though, it's got to be a positive, right? Because a new studio, a new bunch of talent, somewhere down the line means a new game for us to play.
That's what I was going to say. Like, obviously, you hit it now on the head for a start. Like, obviously, when they announce publicly, new studio, like, it's not like, we're going to start this now. It's like they're publicly announcing that something's already going on. You know what I mean? They've recruited, projects underway, stuff like that. So you say the timing was a bit shit, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, and you got to keep moving forward. That's kind of the ruthlessness of it. With regards to the team and the talent, obviously Chris mentioned CDPR and Cyberpunk, and obviously that was that whole Polish government money wrapped up and all this other. Whereas now they'll have the freedom under Microsoft, to a degree, freedom, where they'll have the time to create whatever they want to create, and hopefully, as long as timescales are met and everything like that, it'll be good. So. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And that's the other thing as well. Like I keep saying to everyone getting all bent up. I know, like, I'm a bit like back in the day, I was a different person and all that now. But, this is all good. Like, you want games to play. If you choose to lock yourself away in one ecosystem, like, power to you. You know what I mean? But then don't try and throw mud over the other side because you made the decision to not allow yourself the option to play these games. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just more games. Well, for talent, I'm expecting big things. Obviously, like the Initiative, when they came on the firm, they were like the Galacticos of fucking Real Madrid. Like, they were pulling in some of the proper big names, and everyone was like, "Oh, tight, quadruple A."
And then
Like,
Drew and everyone left.
And Drew left, and obviously Daryl, what's his name? Daryl Gallagher, isn't it? The guy from Crystal, like the old head there who's running it.
Mm-hmm.
He's still there, and there's others there, but obviously they were the names that were getting dropped. Like, oh, they've took the level designer from Santa Monica, God of War over there, and everyone's like, oh, they're building something, and then obviously we still ain't seen nothing yet. So, like I say, at the end of the day, they're building a studio, they're hiring talent, but until they're ready to show something, we just have to wait and see what happens then, you know what I mean?
Some
But
of those big influencers said they were in turmoil, didn't they? And then it got poo-pooed.
yeah, but the influencers are fucking they're so bipolar, they fucking change from week to week, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, some of those big influencers said that Tango was safe.
yeah, well, fuck them. Anyway, so
educated guesses, as we like to say, and sometimes when you come off, you go, "Look, I told you."
I said maybe in trouble. It's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the point of even talking, you fucking cryptic fuck? But anyway, I digress. That's my little influencer rant for the day. So, yeah, looking forward to Elsewhere Entertainment, whatever they cook up. It's the story-driven narrative. Like, again, the PlayStation blueprint kind of tick box, isn't it? Obviously we'll have to wait and see if it's a first person or a third. Hopefully third, but we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully it's more like The Witcher and not like the Cyberpunk launch. Obviously, Cyberpunk now is awesome, but
yeah, but that's what I was saying.
Sony pulled from.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Was obviously with the Cyberpunk thing. I don't think CDPR basically was saying we needed more time on the game, and they went bollocks. It's going out now, and it was a mess. And Duke, they do. Well, but like obviously give them a bit of credit though. They kept doing the work. They turned the story around, full 180, and it's done really well in the end. But that's what I was saying with Microsoft. You got the security there of you haven't borrowed any money that's going to need to be due back and stuff like that. It's just, it's more Activision, but yeah, hopefully it bears fruit.
But borrowed it off Satya.
It borrowed it, yeah.
He wants it back with 500% interest.
Yeah, or he's shutting them down. Like the big boss. But yeah.
We're getting messy on the show.
That means it's time to wrap up. It's not. We've got 5 questions, so we'll get onto those soon as we can get through them. But Chris, yeah, you had a few games that you're anticipating, a few trailers that you've seen. I don't know if you want to pick any number of them to mention and talk about.
Dropped a few trailers in the Discord, so feel free to come and join the Gaming Arcadia Discord, and you'll see these beautiful trailers.
Not if you're a prick. No pricks allowed.
Follow me on
Twitter, yeah, no pricks.
You'll probably just see them there as well.
Seeing as go on, Chris.
There's a game called The Precinct coming out, which looks really good, like a bit of an old school GTA cross between kind of Police Quest. I don't know if you're gonna show the world on screen.
I know, it's just reminding me of another topic. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, so it's a bit of an indie studio. You can wishlist it on Steam, and it's set in the 80s, so you're kind of an 80s cop. I don't know if you kind of go through the ranks and become detective and things like that. I think you do. So you start off giving kind of tickets and then start to uncover various crimes and stories, and it's all about it's all about trying to arrest people, but obviously there's moments where you may I have to get the firearms out and start unleashing hell. And I think there was talk about, so not like a procedural city, I think it's supposed to be like New York or something like that, but the game's kind of procedural in what it does in terms of the actual crimes and elements of like the story arcs and stuff. And actually, I'm quite excited about it. I've joined their Discord, so I'm in there seeing what they're talking about. So it seems fairly active and talking about kind of balancing and ideas and stuff, which is quite good. But yeah, it looks a cheeky little game. As I say, I used to love the police quest games and stuff like that. And then it's got a little bit of old school GTA vibe and whatnot. So.
Just on the Discord hype, I might as well. I announced it in there, but we're giving away this month Shadow of the Erdtree expansion for all you Elden Ring sweaters. So yeah, if you want.
I mean, one of the things I realised is that a lot of people who don't like Elden Ring in the Discord because loads of people opted out.
No, it's a busy Discord. You're only seeing, fucking trust me, yeah, when it comes to showtime, no one lets me know anything. So there's a lot of Elden Ring in there. But yeah, so if you're new around here and fancy any of that, become a member, join the Discord, and your name will go straight in the hat for that. But even regardless of the giveaways, it's just a good community over there, good conversation, loads of people to get involved with.
I mean, the good thing as well, before you hijack me pre-signed cell, it's coming out on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. So,
sorry, mate.
Plethora of gamers can play that game. I don't know whether it's released on Steam first or it's a joint release, or I can hop into the Discord and find out now. I'll say we're on a live show. Give us an update. But yeah, it looks good. And what else did I post in? I think it was like Assassin's Creed and stuff, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's all good, because that did remind me of the other thing that we were going to talk about today. Probably briefly, because I don't know if there's that much to say. But that trailer was brought to you by IGN. Owners, controllers of the entirety of gaming media, almost.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, IGN, or presumably their parent company, Ziff Davis, I think, have acquired probably their biggest competitors. They now own Eurogamer, VGC, Rock Paper Shotgun, a whole host of other websites that you've probably heard of, are now all under the one media
monopoly.
Conglomerate.
Gaming media.
Yeah, an actual monopoly.
And no CMA or FTC to be found anywhere. But
7 out of 10. 7 out of 10s all round. It's going to bring all the meta score. All the meta scores are going to come down to 70.
Not all round. They never bring in the Nintendo games down, Darge. Come on.
No, obviously, I'm talking about the others. Like, you know what I mean?
Metacritic just be like IGN, IGN EG, IGN VGC.
Yeah,
just be like IGN,
Eurogamer, fucking everyone. Yeah. It's you're bringing it up. I see it. I spoke about it earlier. It's just like, I know we say about Monopoly because obviously the ABK thing and this, that, and the other was being used. But I mean, gaming journalism, I don't want to, like, obviously in the review sense, you know my stance on reviews. Don't give a shit about them. Don't trust half of, listen, like on the scale, like I said to Chris earlier on the phone, yeah, you got a 1 to 10 scale. Yeah. If you split that up into twos, you're like your 4, your 5 and your 6s would be like okays, and then up would be very good, excellent, something like that. But it don't work like that on this score, yeah. So like when you get people seeing Hellblade at an 80 and they're going, "Oh, I thought you'd do better than that," and you go, "Well, that's 8 out of 10." Like that's the equivalent. That's the aggregated score, 8 out of 10. But like I say,
I'm going to start reviewing like Dave Portnoy off One Bite Pizza reviews and do like 7.4s.
Just carnage.
Do the mid-numberage.
But like obviously Metro UK, like Chris said earlier, they're like a free newspaper given out around the streets of London. Even a tramp won't sleep on it because it's that fucking distasteful. And like obviously the level of journalism.
By Ziff Davis.
I know. So they'll still be causing mayhem. But like now IGN have done this one. It's like it is a genuine monopoly, in that space. And not that I don't care about reviews. And like I say, gaming articles are few and far between for me that I really read. You know what I mean? But if you're invested in that stuff, they're the leader, really, IGN, and they're basically swooping up all their competition.
The thing I like about IGN, and I've said this to you before, Darge, which is I don't like saying that line. But it's when I'm short on time, IGN with their YouTube channel will like drop all the trailers, individually and stuff from like an event that you may not have been.
Yeah,
and they just happen to be like one of the outlets where like the precinct dropped, and it dropped with IGN first and stuff like that. So I kind of literally followed them for that type of stuff. But
Yeah,
Swerve
but
kind
that's
of reviews
fine.
of the podcast
That
and stuff.
that stuff, that passing on of content, breaking it down. Go to I missed the trailer. Oh, Shadow of the Erd Tree was today.
Yeah.
I could just go to IGN and it'd be there. You know what I mean? And that is good in that regard. I'm talking more on the written word, reviewing or opinion piece stuff and the narrative pushing. You know what I mean? When you're re-upping a trailer of a game like that, that's harmless. You know what I mean? But when you're starting to push a narrative of, Xbox closed 4 studios, Phil swinging the axe and all that, and then it's like when anything happens on the other side, it's not even news. You know what I mean? But now, because you're acquiring, and I'm not just saying that because as an example, because my Xbox feelings are getting out. It's not, but I'm saying in general, narratives can get pushed further now that they've acquired more of their competitors. Eurogamer, they've got Digital Foundry now. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they got a lot there.
That's a good point as well, actually, on the narrative thing, because they surprised me the other day because they ran with this video and article, which was like, it was about Square, and it was kind of like Sony's Square disaster as Xbox's gain or something. So they just flip between.
Yeah, well, it's no different now. I don't want to start getting fucking deep, you know what I mean? But it's no different to press, the printed press over here. Certain stories and things get left out, things get pushed. What sells? You know what I mean? What sells? What drives engagement? What drives clicks? What's going to get us? All this business, and then also, like we also said, the possibility of these competitors, like the Euro gamers, and I can't remember all of them. VGC 24/7 is one of them as well. All these others, they might just bin them off. They might just
reduce the workforce.
Digital Foundry just associated. They were associated with Eurogamer or something. I don't think it's in the same group.
And VGC are part of that gamer. I've forgotten the fucking name, but they're part of that organisation. But it's like they're as an independent, so they'd remain independency. But the point being is, you've bought a lot of your competition. You can either own them and influence them, or you can fucking shut them down. And I just, boggles the mind. But like I say, I don't really pay too much attention to it. Do you know what I mean? Like with the review scores and the opinion picks. I don't think you really get a lot of good written articles these days. I mean, I know, like we've said about, obviously, Ainsley, who we know, Season Gaming, all those independent types will write a good one. But these big outlets are always looking for engagement over anything. You know what I mean? Like the clickbait headline and the fucking, get in there and I want to get my feelings hurt. It's just jokes.
So really what we're saying then is Gaming Arcadia needs to step up and fill this giant void of
the stars are aligning. The stars are aligning for us.
Right, on that. And we do have plans. Things are happening around here. But on that, let's start with our questions. Go on, Chris.
Sorry, can I just, on the Digital Foundry thing, I was just looking on the website now. It does say that the Copyright Gaming Network Limited, obviously a Reed Pop company, which is obviously Dicebreaker, Eurogamer, Games Industry, Jelly Deals, blah, 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 Rock, Paper, Shotgun and stuff, VG 24/7. So if they are a part of that network, then I guess they are now IGN, sadly.
Let's hope that they're not. I don't know. I know they've always had that they were thought to be part of Eurogamer and weren't actually. They just had their thing. But if they are part of the same network, then yeah, they will be included in it. We shall see. I'm sure they'll say something about it soon.
We will indeed.
Yeah, and they are a good bunch that have stayed true to what they do for a long time. Right, let's bring it up. Darge has just run off, but we'll bring it up anyway. First of the questions, please. Eurogamer put on good conventions. Yes, Eurogamer were involved in the convention scene. They used to be good for the puns as well. But that was a while back.
Didn't think I heard you talking as well, like about Digital Foundry and that. They won't have any of Linneman's hissy fitting, will they? IGN, he'll be straight out the door.
So just to destroy various dreams and the thing, Digital Foundry are part of Gamer Network, so
yeah,
IGN have bought them.
Oof, that's a shame. Our first question is from Tony. Hellblade 2 There was no rain hitting Senwa's back. Is that a creative approach? It's a good-looking game, but that threw me off. That's a weird question, Tony. I know in some video games they do really exaggerated raindrops popping off the shoulders, but if you see people in real life, I don't think the rain actually hits them in that way. Chris, did the rain bother you in Hellblade?
I love the fact that in photo mode you can turn the rain on. So you could almost do like a video photo mode. Yeah, rain's nice, effects are nice. I was watching the rolling waves lapping in from the sea. That looked beautiful. Yeah, I need to play it again and see whether it bounces off Senua, but certainly when I go running in the rain, it doesn't bounce off me. Just soaks through.
Indeed. Darge, did the rain upset you?
Tony's going through this weird like anti-corporation, anti-developer arc right now, where he's like being really critical about everything, anti-full-price game, anti-everything. So you've got to let them have their little moment. Yeah, Tony, the rain, it's a big issue for everyone, mate. But it's not for me. I think it's a beautiful game. Yeah, well done, Tony. You've cracked it, mate. Next question.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that one. I did say, or I didn't say, but one thing that was a little bit odd in that rainy scene at the start of the game, some of the rocks do have a weirdly like self-animated slime going on, but not many. Most of the ranges look really good to me.
Yeah, it's good.
Right, how long? Right, how long does the membership last for? I don't fully understand the question. Yeah, I'm afraid it's permanent. There's no way out.
He's obviously talking about the Discord, right?
Was that supposed to be in the FAQ section and not the live?
Well, so Bri did the member milestone earlier, which was YouTube membership. So the YouTube memberships are month by month, Bri. But if you are subscribed, it will just keep on charging you. You have to cancel it if you don't want to be a member.
I was thinking about that Game Pass approach, which is a good one to do. Like to jump in, dip your toes, have a feel for it, and you may never leave, mate. A lot of people don't, so have a look.
Month on month as well, the membership goes up 900%. So by the end of the year, you paid about 40 grand.
It don't.
I know, it doesn't really.
Very good. It's not a bad idea.
I pass that from that.
Right, Lethal Migraine, a 4-hour Darge show would be a good time. Make that happen. Darge, book it in. When are you going to do your 4-hour show?
I don't know. We might do like we'll do one of them charity ones that people. No, actually, because I'll have to play games then, and I can't do both. We'll do something for you, Lethal.
Do a GoPro on your head or your chest while you do the roof.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Fallow in London, the glorious restaurant. The chefs record themselves cooking, so why don't you record yourself roofing?
I might do that. You've just given me an excuse to go and buy something else I don't need. Thanks, mate.
And then you need a drone for those high shots.
Oh, and more, yeah. And a hair transplant as well, yeah.
All right, next is Gamsley. If Assassin's Creed Shadows was a book, it would be historical fiction. That is all. Love you. Not a question. So, I don't know. Darge, do you love Gamsley back?
Yeah, he's all right. Sometimes he's a cock in the morning. But, I can deal with him. I've got children, so I know how to deal with him.
Brutal. Backhanded love. Next question, if we got any more, please. Drake Williams, I just completed the campaign in Skull and Bones. How far did Chris get? Thoughts on the game? The first season ends in 1 week. Chris?
Got through the campaign, got through as much of the kind of the manufacturing stuff that I wanted to do, and then got bored of trying to get pieces of 8 just to unlock some clothes and stuff. So looking forward to the next season. I don't know if he's still in the chat, Poison Cop, my brother. So we played a lot of co-op on it, and I think we're both just waiting for the season. Really enjoyed it, apart from kind of the end game. But I kind of expected it to be a bit like that, because Ubisoft always tend to have a bit of a iffy end game on their first new IP. But yeah, really hoping that the new seasons. I think there was a bit of a data mine or something about various parts of the sea opening up and stuff. So hoping for new kind of locales. What I don't want is it just be season 2, and instead of it being this like La Peste, it's like the twins or whatever, and it's just the same ship but a different color and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. I enjoyed the game. I just wanted to be more variety in the new seasons.
And I assume they haven't really said yet what's coming in season 2 then.
Yeah, they've kind of, so the seasons, I think there's like twins, then something else and something else. But me and my brother were talking about, as I say, I don't want them just swapping the colours and the type of like combat and then just saying it's these people. Hopefully new factions come in. If they do open up the seas a bit more, think if you look on the map, there's like a big chunk of southeast maybe or northeast, or there's an area of the map where it could open up. But obviously, I mean, all you're doing is opening more ocean and islands up or whatever. But be interested to see what they do with the other seasons. There's obviously 3 more seasons to go, and just hopefully they continue to add meaningful content as opposed to just reskinning stuff. That's what it needs to draw me back into it. But I have enjoyed it, as you guys know.
Yeah, indeed. And presumably Drake has as well, as you've managed to finish the campaign. But do stick a message in there. Tell us what your brief thoughts on it are as well, Drake. Any more questions?
I've got a question. When will IGN buy Gaming Arcadia?
Not yet. We need to up our value first, Chris.
Once we go live on the interweb.
The Gaming Crypt has asked, have you all played Dark Souls? Chris, you played Dark Souls?
I've played it for about a couple of hours. He's a friend of mine, the Gaming Crypt. He's a good friend of mine. He loves the Soul series and that. So it's basically a dig at me because he knows I haven't really played it. He's badgering away at me to play Elden Ring again. Do you know what? They're compelling games. They make me want to do it, but in the drought, I've told him in the summer it looks like June, July is going to be a little bit dry. I might carry on then. So Gaming Crypt, I'll definitely get round to it, mate.
I haven't played Dark Souls because for the longest time everyone pretended that they were really difficult, inaccessible games that you couldn't really play unless you were a masochist, and if you did play them, it would be like a lifetime achievement or whatever else. And then I actually played like Demon Souls and Elden Ring, and I was like, what? No, these are just games. They're normal games that people can play. Don't be afraid of playing a Souls game if you've been avoiding them by reputation.
Don't be the Darge Knight. Just play it.
Yeah, look at his scared little face. Play it, Darge.
Fucking dig that every week. Every week I get a digging out. I'm even getting dug out in the chat.
For audio listeners on Spotify and all the rest of it, Darge just looks really scared right now. So
I'm good. No, I'm not scared.
He looks tired and scared.
I'm not fucking tired. Keeps out. Give me a time like fucking going to bed with tea bags on my fucking eyes tonight.
That's the response that you do get from a toddler if you tell them they're tired as well. Love that. Let's have the next question, please. Replicant, get on Warcraft. What's going on Warcraft? Episode 13. How many Jaffa cakes can Chris fit in his mouth? Asking for a friend.
It was probably 2 before. I was trying to just scoff them before coming back on the show, but then realised there was a camera. I mean, I reckon 4, 5. I don't know. I'll try
4 or 5. I reckon
Darge
can fit more Jaffa cakes in Chris's mouth than Chris can do.
Yeah.
Just like that. He will eat Jaffa cakes.
Yeah. He's less concerned about your ability to breathe or whatever, so he'll be better at it. Next question, please. If there are any more. As we've gone to Jaffa cakes, I'm assuming we're coming to the end of the list. Just James. I'm still playing Final Fantasy XIV. Is anyone else still playing this game? I was literally drunk and bought a 6-month subscription. I'm still subscribed. I still intend to play it. There's just so much going on to do. So busy all the time. My oldest lad is still playing it. These two, Darge, you subscribed, didn't you? Your
I was just about to say
now.
As soon as
Darge just forgot that his subscription's still going.
That's what I was going to say. Like James going, I bought 6 months subscription, then I sat here and thought I never cancelled my subscription, So I'm probably still paying for it, but I ain't played it for
Same with your Valheim server.
Ah, yeah, I know,
Germany,
but
or whatever that was.
yeah,
I reckon
but
if
yeah,
you join that game, there'll just be loads of people have moved in on it. There's like a massive city being built.
just my Vikings just got a beard down to his ankles.
It's just
But,
our little town that we built just become like the size of York. That's massive.
Yeah, I'll have to check out Final Fantasy 14. I did enjoy it, but there's too much going on, man. The backlog just keeps growing. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the icon there, Final Fantasy 7, and I'm just like, even the thought of going back to that.
You haven't got to worry about the backlog. You've got to worry about the front log because of the FOMO. Everyone just keeps.
Hello, that's what I'm saying. I shouldn't be talking about new
You're
games.
Like playing Final Fantasy 14, then like another game goes in front of it, and you go on that.
Oh,
People just keep.
I know. To be fair, I got a feeling that these obviously next week. So next week will we talk about our hopes for? Because I think that'll be the last show. Oh no, I don't know. Is it the last show before the showcases in the summer?
Happening, wouldn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully,
we just announcing that our show ended then.
No. This show never ends.
This happen?
We but yeah, like I've got a feeling there might be some surprise launch sort of stuff that we don't know about because June and July look so quiet for games. It's untrue. So yeah,
Hellblade 3 is out in July.
The Last of Us Part 3 Shadow Drop. It'd fucking break the internet, wouldn't it?
Redfall 2 Shadow dropped in July.
Fucking Redfall.
The Gaming Crypt is going to give you 300 quid. If you
do what?
Elden Ring. So the Gaming Crypt is in chat. Has just said to give you 300 quid if you finish Elden Ring.
He would give me it as well. And no, because he wants to watch me. If I play it, he'll go jump in the Discord and stream it, and he will want to see me suffer. That's what he gets. That's what they get the buzz out of the Souls players. They like watching people evolve. Even Tom, like when we was playing No Rest for the Wicked, and he could see that you get that buzz to keep going back because you learn how to parry and stuff like that, and that's kind of what these Souls-like games do as well. But we'll see. I'll get round to it.
We got Gamsley asking this. When were the Darge and Gamsley? Why do you refer to? Never mind. When were the Darge and Gamsley podcast premiere? Gamsley, like YouTube doesn't allow those sort of fireworks. We have to keep you two apart. So probably never. But you know,
I'll drop $1,000 on the two of them going into an octagon and just smash them fuck out of each other.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to be for Gamsey. It wouldn't have to be an octagon. You know, one of them things you get your baby, like the little baby octagon, so you can't climb out of it.
I would answer
like a little guard at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, one of them. Why the fuck? Honestly, I'm not. Do you know what? I had sight in my eye earlier, and it's still in there now. And I was trying to get it out of my eye, and I'm not tired. I don't know why everyone keeps saying I'm tired. It's fucking winding me up.
He's like, while he drinks like Red Bull and more coffee.
I know, I'm fucking wired up, mate. Don't worry about that.
So that was Darge answering the next question before it was even read out, which was Darge, why are you tired?
Yeah, I'm not tired.
Right, are there any more?
No,
we got to the end of them.
Right, no more tired. If you say tired next week, you're getting fucking banned from the channel. That's it.
I mean, you have got that power, Darge.
I have. I'm a moderator.
I can't even laugh because I get upset when people come on and tell me I'm tired as well.
It'll just be bad and people who are going, I should be up late, so you're tired. And
right, we got to the end of the show.
I got shit in my eye. I got fucking
you're knackered. You're like a little baby trying to.
Oh mate, it's warm. It's warm in this house as well. All right, Go on, Asa. You do your outro. We're all getting all sidetracked.
You
here.
carry on, Darge. You're the one that needs to get to bed.
I don't need to go fucking bed. I'm out of copy as soon as we come off air. I'm sorting myself out.
Right,
need to get one of them like
little,
them little cafetiere fucking things at the side of me, so I just keep knocking coffee out. I think it's because my caffeine level's low.
Just have like one of the American hot bowls in a diner.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like one of them, or the plunger fucking thing or something. Yeah. Well, I could go back to my old ways. That'd be an interesting show.
Probably wouldn't.
Yeah, Chris. Right. Outro time. Right. Tell people what you're up to, where they can find you.
I will be in the realm of Hellblade II. Finishing that off, and then I'll jump into Ghost. I might do some streaming on in the Discord when I put on Ghost. But yeah, I'm on Twitter and Discord. Yeah, that's me. Usual place. I think a bit of VR as well. I've been having a little dabble in.
Yes.
Spooks has been playing a bit of FNAF 2 and stuff like that. But obviously, I've been watching a couple of his gaming streams, and then there was like a little bit. He was having a little bit of a game on. It's like a haunted school on Horizon or something, where you have to like dodge ghosts and put these kind of like little grow things out or whatever. But yeah, there's a few things. So I think what I'm going to do is the perfect excuse for him to have my Quest 2, and then I can buy Quest 3. Start doing PC gaming.
Yeah, do it.
Pop a load of anti-sickness tablets and then crack on.
Probably just one at a time, but yeah.
No. Otherwise, I'll be like Darge.
How comes you haven't got Darge onto a VR headset? Like, he buys everything.
Chris was going to give me his Quest 2, but he obviously don't love me anymore. I don't want it anyway, Chris. I was just saying, I said that to you when you said it. I don't want a VR headset, Asa.
You do?
We'll get there. I know you're tired and all the rest of it, but we'll ask you when you're in a better mood. Give us your outro, Darge.
You can find me on Twitter at Darge Knight. You can find me here every Tuesday. You can find me in the Discord. Alright, so he's got a bigger head than me. You'll find me for the next couple of hours or so around on Steam and Discord because I'm not tired. So, yeah. And other than that, like I said earlier, contemplate becoming a member, joining the Discord, subscribing, liking, fucking all that stuff. Do all that stuff, and then I'll see you next week. Shut up.
All right, and me, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to be here on Thursday. I'm going to be here at the weekend and probably some other times as well. I have changed my name on Twitter and some other social media platforms, and I'm not going to tell you what the new one is because I can't really remember. So that's a thing. Stick around for another show and we'll figure that one out. For now, though, that is the end. So thank you, everyone, for coming through, talking to us, keeping it entertaining. Chris has already struck a pose, so I'm going to hit the button. We'll see you next time.
Shut up.